YouTube channel.
Love the feed. Okay. Good. Alright.
And
You didn't use your Jake Weimer picture, the one that you've been using for your other top 10.
for Christy Mathewson?
No, your thumbnail that you've been using for the other top 10.
That's were recorded. The live ones is just
okay.
going to be whatever's on the screen.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right.
So let me go to.
That's an interesting choice for a thumbnail. Cars, Jake Weimer. Kind of. I mean, he's a good pitcher, but cars, Jake Weimer. A lot of other choices. There's at least one person in here.
Yeah, she blinded me with refractors. I gotta lower my speaker here.
Yeah, your computer volume.
I guess we'll give it a couple minutes till we have a few people in here. We got 4. Testing. What's going on, everybody? Up to 4 people now.
Can open it up to questions if people have any before we get into it. I don't know if there will be any, but
So everybody, if you're there, I'm doing the top 10. This is Ray from Philly. I have Max Jackson on with me. And this is going to be, yep, she binding me your science. This is going to be live. We're going to do a top 10 tobacco cards. So we're just going to wait a little bit. How you doing, Ray? And we're just going to wait a couple more minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You could get some glare off the great card slab. She blinded me with refractors. You might still have to be careful. Not worried about getting blinded by tobacco cards. They're saying, you know.
That's true. Whoa, a little too big.
What do you want? How many do you want to wait for as far as live goes?
Let's give it a couple more, maybe till 10. We have 7 so far. And
Yeah, I'm good. I texted Ryan Roth 6, the Hank Greenberg collector.
Oh yeah.
On live, he was interested when I was talking to him about the list. So
That's cool.
I was giving him a shout there.
Still at 7.
I have a I don't know if you watched Nusted Card video.
Yeah.
Good hobby resource books.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using one of the ones he showed there. I've had it for a while, but it's the Lou Lit set.
Oh yeah.
Three-part book. It's amazing. I've looked at this book for hours. I would say anyone who's even mildly interested in pre-war should grab this one.
Definitely, yeah. A place in Allentown, Pennsylvania today. It's a little old-fashioned mall where all they have in there are 5 vintage baseball card stores.
Oh, okay.
And it was a throwback in time. And
jealous.
Oh my God, it was fantastic. It was the magazines and Sports Illustrated from the 50s and Baseball Digest from the 60s, and it was just great. Oh my God, I could.
Yeah,
I could.
We don't have anything like that around here, unfortunately. Vintage baseball card collecting isn't that much of a thing on the West Coast.
Really?
I mean, obviously there's a lot of collectors, but as far as like when you look at the groups or the demographic or geographic information on like forums and things like that, it's definitely in the vast minority, like West Coast. So.
Oh, okay. Well, what part of California are you? Do you live in?
I'm in the Bay Area.
Okay.
South Bay. I don't know if you know where Nate lives.
Yeah.
I'm a little South man.
Okay.
So he's North Bay, I'm South Bay. So.
Cool. Well, I guess we'll try and get started now. I mean, we haven't reached quite 10 yet, but hopefully we got 8 now. Hopefully people will start to chime in, and we'll get started. So, If we haven't told you guys already who just joined us, this is Ray from Philly. I have Max Jackson on with me now, who I consider to be a tobacco card expert. Not me, but Max going to help me along here. He picked this list himself, and I appreciate you joining me, Max. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It should be fun.
Yeah. So we're going to start with this list right now at number 10. And Max picked here, it's a T206 Christy Mathewson Dark Cap. And I'm sure, Max, you can say it. Would you like to talk about this card?
Before we get into that, I just wanted to say that the rules, so there are going to be some expecting to see that aren't going to be on this list.
Right.
For this list, I did post-1900 because I always feel like there's a big divide at the turn of the century between, like, baseball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they separate statistics and everything like that. So I wanted to kind of separate that. So post-1900, and as well as a lot of the most valuable cards in the tobacco era are error cards. You have your Joe Doyle error, where he's listed on the National League, and you have your Maggie card.
Sherry Maggie, yeah.
T205 cards with errors on the back. I didn't want to include those because not as exciting for the list. You know, there's going to be guys people haven't heard of or whatever, things like that. So I wanted to stay away from that. As well as, I feel like the whole bottom half of the list could be Ty Cobb, so I didn't want to do that either. I mean, Ty Cobb is, you know, the big star of this era, so it could have basically been just Ty Cobb. So the bottom half of my list is a little different, but I would say like 6 and up is probably pretty accurate. There is no 10 million lock on this list. That's actually a funny story. From what I know, their last name was Million, and
yeah,
this is a legend. And the grandma paid the dad money to name his son 10, and he did it. That's what I've always heard. But yeah, anyway, we can start on the list. So number 10, Christy Mathewson Dark Cap. This was a really tough one because there's like probably 30 cards that could have been number 10.
Right.
And I wanted to include Christy Mathewson on the list, number 1, because I'm a Giants fan. Number 2, I really like this card. So this was a super print in the T206 set, so it's one of the more common cards in the set.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful card.
Nice premium. Yeah, it is really nice. I almost did the T205 Mathewson here. And if we want to skip to number 9, I can kind of talk about a little bit why I almost went with the T205
Sure.
Mathewson.
So at number 9, we have the 1911 T205 Cy Young.
Yeah, so this is just a gorgeous card.
Oh, God, yeah.
Nice portrait of Cy Young, and you get the American League design for the T205. So that's what I wanted to illustrate, but I figured we could maybe get to it at the end. There are 3, as far as I know, distinct designs to the T205 set. So number 1, you have the one that we see here, which is the American League, it's in a diamond frame, like the baseball field, and then you have the equipment as well as the name on the banner.
Right.
Just really nice period equipment. I love the art that you see on the American League sets. But in the National League versions, you have a bigger portrait, and you have the facsimile signature on the front, which is something we see with a lot more modern cards. So the T205 set was really innovative in that aspect, as well as having names and stats and a brief biography on the back, which is really cool.
I love these T205 cards with the gold borders. I mean, they just really add an element to these cards. It gives us such a nice frame to it. I have the Tinkers, Chet Evers to Chance, and T205s, and I just love those cards. They're just beautiful.
They're really nice cards. I think a big reason why they don't get as much love, the T206 set is such a huge thing. It really takes a lot of the focus from the T205, but a lot of people have issue with the surface wear, with the gold borders chipping off. I've never had an issue with that. obviously it bothers me if it's really bad, but a card that, you know, has such great art, I think it is worth looking past those chipping
Right.
things. So this isn't the most valuable T205, highest T205 on my list. Again, I feel like I couldn't put together a list without the Cy Young on it. You know? So,
Hey, that would be like ludicrous almost, and then to keep tight.
So, yeah, I was like, these bottom half of the list I used to, you know, like get the guys in that should be in. Napoleon Lajoie really almost way on the list.
Mm-hmm.
So, I do want to give a brief shout out to the T206 portrait Napoleon Lajoie.
Okay, yeah, that's an honorable mention for sure.
Yeah, it's gorgeous card. It's also incredibly hot. It has shot up so much in the past year. It's incredible. I'm always blown away by
Cool.
prices.
Very cool card. Well, we can move on now to number 8, which these are really spectacular cards, these turkey red cards. 1911 Turkey Reds, Walter Johnson, card number 99. The framing on this, I mean, the color and the gray, oh my God, beautiful cards.
Yeah. To have this number 8 on the list kind of illustrates why it was so hard to put together a top 10 list.
Mm-hmm.
I love dark uniforms on these pre-war cards, and this is a classic pose. It's the same pose as one of his T206 cards. You have your classic portrait, and then he has his hands at chest variation.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing I love about this one, you see the Washington, D.C. skyline in the background there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a very classic pose, and the art, these tobacco cards are really hard to describe without seeing them in person. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, no, I mean, the artwork on this is really unbelievable. I'm looking at this now. It's like
great detail. They were able to do a lot more because these are so big.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I have the measurement right here: 5 3/4 by 8. So they're pretty big.
Yeah, I'll say, yeah. That I see the size right here. Vintage Cars Pricing gives the size in here and what the price of, say, I mean, we can do a PSA 1.5 is 1,075.
Yeah.
You know.
I will say I only have one of these. I'd like to get more. I have the Larry Doyle card, and they're just, I mean, pictures are nice, but the size and just the quality of the art is absolutely incredible. Just really, really amazing job by the American Tobacco Company, who's responsible for most of these issues.
Right. No, I mean, I was talking to my LCS owner today, showing him this list, and he has a turkey red of the next card we're going to show.
Okay.
At number 7, this one right here.
And this is a stunner.
Yeah, he has this locked away. He was telling me this is a beautiful card that he has. Oh, I have a turkey red Ty Cobb. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah, the sunset almost in the background, as well as the bleachers, and you just get a great snapshot of the time in the ballpark. A great pose, classic pose from Ty Cobb. A very similar pose on a lot of his cards. So.
And yeah, you can see the stadium in the background. That's where the Tigers, I'm assuming, played. I don't know if it's old Tiger Stadium, because I'm not sure where the Tigers played. I don't know if Tiger Stadium was around, but it looks like it does have with the poles and everything. It does look like old Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, I'm not
100% sure on that either, but yeah, this is nice.
Gorgeous card.
So yeah,
a little bit more when the list gets, I guess, more solid. It's not as much my preferences now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, number 6. Now we have a T206. This is a legendary card. Green background, T206, Ty Cobb.
Yeah, this card, I talked about Napoleon Lajoie earlier being a really hot card. This is basically the hottest T206 out there.
Yeah.
The prices have gone absolutely insane, and
Oh my God! Yeah, I'm looking. I'm looking at them now.
Yeah.
Wow.
See the increase. It's absolutely insane. I've had discussions in one of the groups that I'm in about, so the T206 set is 524 cards, and a lot of people consider 520 to be a complete set because that's the obtainable number for most people.
Right.
The way this card is going, I've seen a lot of talk about, is 519 the new 520? So basically, like, is this card so unobtainable now that, you know, people aren't able to get it and aren't chasing after it? And I would argue there's a good argument that that it might be. So,
how many cards did you say are in the set?
524.
Yeah, I see it right here, 524.
Yeah. So this is a really nice Cobb pose. It's very similar to his other card in the set, which we will see a little later. The reason why this is so tough, I think, and I could double check this later, but I think it's maybe in the 70s as far as scarcity goes. So, you know, any Hall of Famer in the top 100 for scarcity is going to be a really, really tough card.
Right.
And I also mentioned earlier the T206 red Ty Cobb is the most common and most printed T206 out there, but
yes,
you can't get one for under $1,000. So
right.
this one being so much rarer, and having, you know, the same amount of people wanting it, it's caused the market to just go insane. So
yeah, and I'm just looking.
Go ahead.
I was just looking just at an authentic grade from 2008 was $1,000.
Yeah.
And it
it's
had
run you at least like 2,000 now.
Yeah, it's easily. I mean, there was a huge spike a year ago. It was at 4,500. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's this card is you know, it seems like it's unstoppable at this point. The crazy price increases. So
easily. Well, let's move on, I guess, to this one here is the Ramley Walter Johnson.
Yeah.
Another awesome looking card.
This is an absolutely gorgeous card. What does it come through on a lot of the scans for the T204s is that they're embossed. So all that gold that you see is raised on the card.
Right. I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm just amazed at the prices on it.
Specifically the Johnson.
Yeah.
It's a really rough card as far as. What's the minimum? What does it say the minimum price is on a T204 Walter Johnson?
The lowest one is a 1 is $5,655.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So the T204 set I think would be a lot more popular, but it seems like they actively avoided putting big names. There's no Honus Wagner, there's no Ty Cobb, there's no, you know, Christy, no Tris Speaker, none of those guys. There's really limited number of Hall of Famers in the set. There's only 15, and which is quite low for a set of this era. So Walter Johnson is far and away the biggest card in the set, and he was a young player. I think he was in his third year at the time the set was put out. So when they put this out, he was not Walter Johnson. He was just, you know, a pitcher for Washington. So
right.
We're very lucky to get this card of him in what I think is one of the most gorgeous sets of the era.
I think it's really the nicest looking one with the frame picture around it. It just adds element, in my opinion. It's awesome.
Really, really nice card. I'd love to see one of these in person someday. I have 3 T204s of the Giants, and I hope to finish the team set someday. You're not cheap, so.
No.
One quick thing is, a lot, there are a few different back variations. There's some that come with blank backs, and then there's since this is a Turkish company that put these out,
right.
There's it's a TTT back. So I figured that would be an interesting act to share, I guess. I don't know.
No, it's definitely an awesome looking card. Next up, we have at number 4, T210, 1910 Old Mill of Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Yeah.
And it took a while for us to finally get to Shoeless Joe, but he's here now.
Yeah. This is a crazy card. It's do we have? Oh, someone's saying it's the wrong card.
Which one did you want to do? Because there is a couple of.
This one. Oh no, this is You have to stick the accent. He'll be standing there with a sweater, and he has striped hat. Joe Jackson.
I think this is it.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one right there. So, a lot of people call the T206 set the monster because of its size. And, that's 524 cards. The T210 set is 640 cards, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
So, just an absolutely incredible large set. It's only minor league players. And
oh, wow.
There's a couple cards to chase. Casey Stengel is in the set as well. But the Joe Jackson is far and away the most valuable card. And I really love the pose and what he's wearing, too. It's, one of the classic sweaters of the day, and he's looking off into the distance.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it has like a Civil War kind of a...
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, Civil War kind of look.
He had some major league experience at this time, but he found himself back in the minors. And Joe Jackson, of course, has very limited releases, so it's very cool that he's featured in this set. So
I found out today he did play for Philadelphia, but it was literally for a cup of coffee because he got homesick and left and went to, I don't know if it was, I think that's when he went to Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. He was in Philly for literally a very, very short time.
Yeah. He definitely he was a very quirky person for sure. More read up on him. I wish I knew more.
Yeah, they should do a movie on this guy, but, 8 Men Out's the closest we can get. So.
Yeah. He's in Field of Dreams, too, as far as
yeah.
I know, right, with Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
So.
Well, at number 3... Eddie Plank.
I think the to be surprised at Eddie Plank being number 3. This is one of the big ones in the T206 set, for sure. This is their super limited card. Very rare for the great pitcher, Hall of Fame pitcher, Eddie Plank. There's a lot of stories as to why it's so limited. Same with the Honus Wagner. So,
right.
Eddie Plank, it's a really nice looking card, striking blue background and a nice portrait too. So
yeah, I love the blue background for sure. Friend of mine has this card in an authentic, and
really?
You don't even want to know.
That's incredible.
Just in an authentic, it's a lot of money, but
oh yeah,
this is this definitely could go 1, 2, or 3. I mean, definitely who was 1, but. This is a huge card.
I had a struggle. It changed places on my list several times. The rumors that the printing plate was destroyed or cracked or something, and they couldn't produce more.
Right.
What I believe to be true, though, is the Philadelphia A's are a lot more prominently featured in caramel cards. So I wonder if there was like a contract dispute or something like that.
Yeah.
To make this so limited. So
yeah, there is another Eddie Plank card out there that looks almost exactly like this, and it's the E30, 32, I think, or 34.
There's also an E95, which is
right
that I have. That has the same pose.
The same portrait, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm a big fan of this card. I wish I could own one, but that's why I have the E95.
Right, I was just about to say, if we can't get the T206 one, the next best is definitely the Caramel. Because it's the same, basically.
Yeah.
For probably a lot less, than what this is going for.
A lot less. Still a good chunk of change, but...
oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's going up and up and up every year for eons.
I bought mine when I did specifically for that reason that I knew, so...
Yeah. Well, at number 2... Max, we have the Ty Cobb red background, but it's the Ty Cobb back.
Yeah, Ty Cobb back. So.
Which is a really awesome looking card. Was this one of the cards with the Lucky 7 find? Was it a Ty Cobb back?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I wanted to talk about the Lucky 7 find. Lucky 7 find, as far as I know, the owners, they found 7, hence the Lucky 7, in like a paper bag in their attic or something like that. It just happened to be, one of the rarest cards of the era and most desirable. There wasn't that many known, but since that Lucky 7 find, a ton of them have come out of the woodwork. Not a ton. People have been finding more of them. I think that even that same family found more.
Yeah, they did. They found an 8th.
Yeah. And,
so there's now a Lucky 8.
Yeah. There's some debate over whether or not this is actually a T206.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, because I was trying to stay away from back variations, but that's why I kind of felt comfortable putting this one in. I've heard that it's on just this slightly different cardstock, but of course it shares the same front and size and everything like that as
right.
the T206. So still classified as a T206, but there is some debate. I don't see it getting changed anytime soon, but it's an interesting thing to kind of compare the two to see the differences.
Yeah, I mean, it's without a doubt an awesome looking card. This was part of the Lucky 7, which is now Lucky 8. And the grades they got on those cards were pretty good for cards that have been stored, locked inside of a wall, inside of a brown paper bag, in an attic. They got some like 1.5s and 2s, and
yeah, I think there was even one that was really high too.
I think maybe a 4, a 3 or a 4.
Yeah, something like that. It's just it's amazing. It makes me want to check my.
We're going after this story came out. I almost got a whole bunch of hammers and just started.
That's the thing with living on the West Coast. At least where I live, the homes are not old enough to find this kind of stuff.
Right. But I'm sure all around the northeast part of the country, people were punching holes in their walls for months after this story came out.
Yeah.
For sure.
Number one, no surprise, right?
No surprise, number one. It's some guy named Hannes Wagner.
Yeah. Not much else to say about this card that hasn't been said before.
Right.
Really nice looking card. I think it would be a popular card even if Hannes Wagner wasn't Hannes Wagner.
Right.
Just because it's such a nice likeness and one of the best quality, like artist depictions.
Right.
In my opinion, it's a really, really nice likeness. And then the background and all of that.
I mean, it just so happens that not only is it number one card, but the appearance of the card is unbelievable too. I mean, the yellow background. Thank God it's not some really ugly looking card. I mean, the number one. It really is a great looking card.
Absolutely. This card has caused three. I mean, we talked about it earlier with Tommy Cobb card and Eddie Clank too, but the value of every single playing this Hannes Wagner card to be more expensive.
Yeah, all those old cards. Yeah.
You cannot get an inexpensive Hannes Wagner card.
No, any of his cards. Yeah.
Yeah, any card with this same image though too, like the Plank, just absolutely insane prices.
Yeah.
And this is a card that I don't think either of us will ever have. I got myself a reprint to go with my T206 set. So.
The only way that will happen is if we had a group of all of us gathered together, and we would need probably 20 of us.
Yeah.
As a group investors. And even then, I don't know if we could buy it. I mean, it's just an awesome card. I mean, the only thing you could talk about this card is what has it sold for lately, and I think the highest I saw was 2.8 million or something like that.
There was a comment in the thread saying only 20, so I just wanted to respond to that. I think there's around 50-ish, maybe some more. There's a great resource that has, I actually think it's on T206 resource, that it has a picture of every known example, or every example that there's a picture of. So
right.
It's a really interesting thing to see, what the differences are, and cards that probably would be thrown away if they weren't Hannes Wagner. You have cards that are mangled beyond belief,
right.
People that are still thousands and thousands of dollars. So
God, I would take an
Restored
authentic.
Wagner?
I would take an authentic with major paper loss in the back. I wouldn't really care. I mean, the card, it's the holy grail. I mean, I think it. I mean, I have read the book called The Card, which I went through that book in a couple hours. I couldn't put it down. And there's just been documentaries on this that ESPN did several years ago with Keith Olbermann talking about it. It's just the legend of this card just keeps growing and growing and growing.
It is absolutely the most recognizable baseball card, and
easily.
Yeah, the most well known for sure.
Easily.
Number one.
Well, I appreciate it, Max, for joining me on another top 10 that I showed tonight. And your knowledge, I have to say, is impeccable. I mean, I'm really good at post-war rookie cards, but to talk about tobacco, you were the first person I thought of, and I really appreciate you coming on and joining us. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Do we have anything else, or?
No, I mean, if there's any honorable mention cards that you wanted to maybe go over, I would be more than glad to show them that you left off the list.
The one that we talked about would be the Lajoie portrait, P206 Napoleon Lajoie portrait.
Okay.
That's a great one. And the other one that I wanted to highlight is the National League design of the T205. It's my preferred design. I really like the American League, but the National League is good. So if we could do the T205 Christy Mathewson too, that would be.
Sure. Here's the T206.
Yeah, Lajoie.
Lajoie.
And gorgeous card. Really significant player of his day. The Cleveland. Now they're the Cleveland Indians, but at the time they changed their name to the Cleveland Naps. They changed their name for him, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, for a while he was Napoleon Lajoie on the Cleveland Naps, which is just a fun story. Something that would never happen anymore, but speaks to what a popular player he was. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I know his Gaudy card, the 33 Gaudy, is an iconic card that everyone talks about, but this is something that is really nice looking here with the green and yellow background, and the Cleveland uniform is just, I mean, these cards are really a work of art. I mean, they really are. It's just beautiful cards, breathtaking.
Yeah, super nice. And
super nice.
He has 3 cards on the set. This is the hottest one for sure. It's that. It's posed with that is also very nice. But
what was the other card that you were talking about?
Yeah, the last one that I wanted to highlight, just to talk about the different designs of the T205 set. We could do the T205 Christy Mathewson.
Yep. Oh, yes.
Yeah, this is an extremely famous photograph in itself, but we see the artist version of it, and it's just a really striking card. Really, really nice.
And I think this is somewhat reachable, isn't it? Like price-wise, it's.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. This one, I mean, it's still an expensive card, yes, but as far as cards that are this nice looking, and as far as I'm concerned, this significant, it is somewhat obtainable. Yeah, and really nice looking card of the Christian gentleman. So the lone exception to that, though, is there is an error version of Christy Mathewson's T205 card.
Mm-hmm.
They messed up his stats on the back, and that one is quite rare. I think that's only found in cycle backs.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at the prices, and a 1 is about $282.
Yeah.
This is definitely doable.
If you're patient, if you're really patient and you can find a nice one, I highly recommend it. I got a 2 before the pre-war explosion, and I'm beyond happy with it. And I'm happy I got it when I did, because now the same card would be a few $100 more, I would say. So.
Yeah, I mean, even in a decent grade, a 2 is about $396, a 3 is $600. I mean, it's not that these are cheap prices, but they're attainable, without a doubt. So, and I always thought that, like when I was thinking about trying to find a tobacco card, I obviously took Wagner and Cobb and Plank out, and most likely Walter Johnson. But the player that I always targeted, that I always felt was attainable, was the legendary Christy Mathewson. I always felt like this is something, if you want to get at a great legendary player, Mathewson is the one to get.
His prices have lagged far behind Walter Johnson and all of the big guys in the T206 set. They're all blown up, and Christy Mathewson, while he has increased, it's not been at the same rate,
right,
by any means. And he was a great player. I'm not quite sure why he's been left behind, but I'm enjoying it as a Giants fan. Buying his cards at that aren't completely insane.
And his stories, he was in World War I and came back and died from complications of that, from breathing in the toxic fumes during World War I.
Yeah, it was a training accident too. I don't think it was even in combat.
Right.
As I know.
And it was like several years after he came back too. It's a shame. But what a iconic player. And I just really love the gold borders on the T205s. I can't say it enough that I love the T205 set.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the T206 is very tough to do. I have quite a few friends of mine that are starting to try and do a T205, which is a little bit cheaper than the T206. And I kind of think they're kind of nice with the gold borders. They're really awesome.
Definitely. There is an argument to be made for sure on which has the nicer art.
Yeah. Especially with the facsimile signature on the bottom. This looks great.
Really, really nice. Definitely, like I said, a pioneer set. I don't think the facsimile signature had ever been done, as well as the stats and a brief biography on the back is very innovative.
Did you have any other honorable mention cards that you wanted to?
I'm sure we talked about some, but none are coming to mind right now.
All right, well then, be that as I appreciate again, Max, for coming on, and I really thoroughly learned a lot, and I hope everyone else learned a lot. And this was really exciting. I love talking cards, any kind of cards, any era, especially learning about tobacco cards. That's for sure. So, I appreciate everyone for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
And if you have any questions, let us know now. But we're gonna.
Yeah, I was gonna say, feel free to comment on my videos or anything like that. I'm happy to answer any pre-war questions people might have. Love talking baseball cards, like you said. So
all the time.
Happy to answer any questions. So, all right.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Max. Thanks again for coming on. Yeah, I don't blame you. Especially pre-war. I mean, I haven't really gotten that far into the pre-war, but absolutely. I'm just trying to see if I can just get this